So after looking at the entire book of Job, what are we left? Where do we come down? What is this book trying to say? What's the hermeneutical payoff for this text? Well, many people, if not most people, when they interpret the book of Job, want to look at this book as a theodicy, some sort of defense of evil. If you don't know what a theodicy is, the word itself simply means a justification for God, which you probably should be thinking, what does God need justifying for? Basically, it's a pretty simple formula. Um, Most people of faith believe that God is all good. Most people of faith believe that God is all powerful, and most believe that evil exists. And we can look in the world and see that. So God is all good, God is all powerful, and evil exists. So most people hold all three of those points. The problem is, logically, you can only hold two of those points. That's a contradiction to try to hold all three. Because if God is all good and God is all powerful, he should be able to get rid of evil. Now, evil could exist because God is all good, but not powerful enough to do anything. Or evil could exist because God is all powerful and he's not good. He just allows the evil to continue. But to hold all three together, as we do as people of faith, you've got to find a way to modify one of those. You've got to find a way to find some answer there. And you will find different theodicies do different things. There are those who talk about God limiting his power so that people can give us free will, so that we have free will. He can give us free will in that, so that God has limited his power. He's still all good, but he's limited power, so there's choice. Others sort of, I would say, deny the existence of evil in a way and give us that sort of sense of this is a place of soul building, and that evil actually serves good purpose, and so it's not really evil. It's another kind of theodicy that you go. But is Job a theodicy? Is this the ancient Hebrew way of trying to wrestle with this why do bad things happen question? My position on is, if it is a theodicy, I think it's a rotten one. I mean, why do bad things happen? Shut up, I'm God. That's not a great answer. I'm not left satisfied at that. The other problem is God does not come off as the God that I know fully represented in the incarnation of Christ. I mean, for me, I want to interpret that God that I know through that embodiment that we have of Jesus. And in Job, God comes off as uncaring and condescending and sassy and insulting. I don't think the book of Job explains the nature of suffering. Unfortunately, I don't think the Bible gives us a clear answer on the issue of suffering. I think it acknowledges suffering. I think it knows there is suffering, but it never comes out and talks about the why of suffering. It tells you how to deal with it, but it doesn't tell you the why. I don't think the book is about suffering. I think the book is using suffering, though, to answer a different question. And I think that question comes way back in Job chapter 1, verse 9, when Satan asked the question back to Hasatan, asked the question back to Yahweh, does Job fear God for nothing? I think that is the question we're trying to answer. I think that's what God is trying to get at through the entire book. Because Hasatan says, does Job fear God for nothing? And suffering is the means by which we're going to find that out. That notion of disinterested piety that I talk about in survey class, that we find in Habakkuk and in the testing of Isaac, sacrifice of Isaac with Abraham, and these following God when there's nothing in it for you, that notion of disinterested piety, following God when it actually hurts you to follow God. We know Job is going to be obedient when God blesses him for being obedient, but is Job willing to be obedient when the world doesn't make sense? Is Job willing to be obedient when God is seemingly arbitrary and not answering, when there are no functions there? If you read this book as pursuing that question, the issue of disinterested piety, that question that Hasatan asked at the very beginning, then God comes off a little bit better. All of a sudden, God is not uncaring and condescending, because what ends up happening is we have Job in chapter 1 losing his possessions and answering no, blessed be the name of the Lord. But when he loses his health, then we're on the fence. And for the next 38 chapters, we don't know. How's it going to go? Is he going to be faithful? Is he not going to be faithful? I mean, this 38 chapters of being tempted to just say, you know what? I'm out. I'm gone. God doesn't make sense. Forget it. I'm not following this anymore. And it's only after God comes and God appears and God reminds Job who it is he's being asked to follow for nothing, right? The one who knows where the mountain goats give birth and stores up the snow and knows where the darkness lives and is able to pick up and toss Leviathan like a fish. That's the God that Job is being asked to serve. After that, when Job says, you know what, my bad, forgot about that, sorry. Yeah, I was thinking about me for a minute, but I'll place my hands over my mouth and I'm in. And it's at that point that Hasatan and God know that Job will follow God for nothing. And then once he says he's willing to follow for nothing, well, then you can reward him, because now you know that, yeah, he'll follow you for nothing. And so he ends up getting the twice back. I like that interpretation. It makes the most sense to me, because at that point, God's speeches give Job not what he asked for. He never gets the answers to the questions he asked for, but he does give Job exactly what Job needs, and that is a reminder on exactly who God is and who it is that Job is being asked to follow. It's a fascinating book. I hope you've enjoyed the journey that we've gone through on it.